A celebration of the studio's 100-year animation legacy, Disney's Wish is finally in theaters and is a typically charming love letter to all things Disney. Want to know more about that magical ending? Your wish is our command. Wish begins with a traditional storybook opening. The narrator starts the tale by telling the story of Magnifico, the king, and his queen Amaya, who founded the kingdom of Rosas. Magnifico studied magic and was the one person in Rosas who could grant wishes, so the people gave him their biggest wish on their 18th birthday with the understanding that they could be granted by him at some point. In the meantime, they forget the wish they gave to Magnifico. Asha, a 17-year-old girl, is interviewing to be the king's apprentice. She seems to impress him until she realizes that he won't grant most of the wishes, including her 100-year-old grandfather's, because he judges them to be too dangerous. Asha tries to tell her grandfather about what happened, but because it involves telling him his wish, he gets upset and tells her she's excused from the family's dinner table. Asha runs out of the house and wishes upon a star, and the star comes down from the sky and starts granting the animals and plants' wishes, including that of Asha's goat, Valentino.
I'm talking! I am talking! Ha! Who knew my voice would be this low?
During this time, Magnifico sees the bright light of the star and feels threatened. He calls a meeting to inform the citizens that they should tell him if they know anything about the light, and the citizens start questioning him for the first time. While this is happening, Asha sneaks up to the king's study to take back her grandfather and mother's wishes. Asha heads home and gives her grandfather's wish back, but then Magnifico, who has started using dark magic, appears. He knows she's the one who wished upon the star, and he means to make her pay. She and her family escape in a rowboat, but not before he crushes Asha's mother's wish, making her feel deeply sad. Magnifico calls another meeting of the kingdom where he introduces his informant, Asha's only friend who's over 18, Simon. He has his wish to be a knight granted, but then becomes the king's pawn. Asha, Valentino, and Star return to the city from the rowboat and join with her friends to take on the king. The queen appears and joins them. Asha leads Magnifico away while the rest of them go to get their wishes, but when Magnifico finally catches up with Asha, it turns out it was Simon in disguise. Magnifico is still in the castle, and while Amaya and Asha's friends manage to gather the wishes with Star's help, Magnifico captures Star and traps it in his staff. Asha runs to the castle to stop this, but Magnifico disarms her with magic. She appeals to the people of Rosas, and as they make wishes, they overcome Magnifico and he gets trapped in his own staff. Star is freed, and everyone can now pursue their wishes as they see fit. Simon apologizes to Asha, and Asha becomes everyone's fairy godmother. Asha, wishing on a star, ended up inspiring others, and eventually the whole kingdom to rise up. It's a compelling statement about the power that one simple act can have to convince others to take a stand and help both themselves and others. Magnifico seems to be a benevolent king, so people give him their wishes because 1, he promises to safeguard them, and 2, because of the possibility that he'll grant them. In Rosas, people don't wish upon stars, so in order to have their wish come true, Magnifico is their only option. The trouble is that once they give their wishes to Magnifico, they forget all about them. This means if there's a possibility that their wish could be fulfilled through things like lessons or hard work, they can't pursue that because they don't remember their wishes. For example, Asha's grandfather wants to inspire people by playing the mandolin, and through lessons and frequent practice, he could get good enough to inspire people. But because he surrendered his wish at 18 and can't remember it, he's done nothing to pursue his wish since. While Magnifico tells the people that giving up their wishes is a great thing, especially because he might grant them at some point, in reality, it's a tragedy.
People come here because they know they can't make their own dreams come true. The journey is too hard, it is too unfair.
Magnifico grants a lot of wishes, but he doesn't grant everyone's wish, and that is by design. While there are some acceptable wishes that slip through the cracks because he simply doesn't get to them, there are many more that he doesn't grant because he judges them to be too risky. For instance, they could promote anarchy or treason, or they could promote a smear campaign against Magnifico, or they could do neither of those things and be completely innocent, but since Magnifico doesn't know for sure, he doesn't grant those wishes. Asha's grandfather is, again, a perfect example. His desire to inspire people with his mandolin is deemed too vague to be granted. So although it's a beautiful wish to Asha, it has the potential to be sinister to Magnifico because he can imagine a scenario where Asha's grandfather's music inspires people in negative ways. Because Magnifico has all the wishes and no one else can even remember them, he and he alone has the power to judge each person's wish, granting only the ones he finds innocuous.
They deserve more than—
I decide what everyone deserves.
Asha is perhaps the only person in Rosas who would wish upon a star, and it has everything to do with her father. Her father was deeply invested in the stars and often took her to a tree out over the water that allowed them to look at the stars uninterrupted by the sights of Rosas. Asha learned from her father that everyone is connected to the stars and took that perspective to heart, especially because he died when she was 12, making his observations all the more precious to her. She wishes upon the star because of her father saying they're all connected to the stars. She doesn't expect anything to happen because of it and is surprised when it does. In fact, when she makes her wish, which she states in the song This Wish, she simply wants everyone in Rosas to, quote, have something more than this. More specifically, she wants to give her grandfather and mother's wishes back to them so they can work on them themselves. She sees this as better than waiting for them to be granted by Magnifico, especially because he's already stated that he will never grant her grandfather's wish.
Your wish will never be granted!
When Asha states her wish, the star she wishes on comes down to Earth to be by her side as she tries to right the wrongs of Magnifico. However, it doesn't grant Asha's wish. Jennifer Lee, the co-writer of Wish, told Rotten Tomatoes, "Star really is all those things that Disney gives us: hope, possibility, wonder, joy."
That doesn't tell you the answers. It's just there for you when you need it.
So Star isn't there to make Asha's dream come true. It's there instead to offer hope and back her up when she needs it. This can be seen by the way Star accompanies Asha when she breaks into Magnifico's study and takes back her grandfather's wish. It helps them to get out of the locked elevator to the castle, for example, by using its magic to unlock the door, but Asha has to do the heavy lifting of taking her grandfather's wish herself. That said, there are times when Star can make wishes come true. It does this for many of the animals and plants in the forest, sprinkling them with stardust so they can talk, and therefore granting their wishes. Star also makes the wishes float out of the castle so the people can reclaim them. So Star does have the ability to help to some extent. In the end, Asha, through her kindness and selflessness, has managed to free the whole kingdom from the tyranny of Magnifico. While Amaya, the queen, has become the ruler of the kingdom, Asha is anointed the kingdom's fairy godmother by Star, who gives her a wand and robes in a ceremony that is very much like that in Cinderella, when Cinderella gets her gown for the ball. Asha objects to the new role, which is exactly why she'll be good at it, according to her friends. But granting wishes exactly as a fairy godmother would make it seem like she's pretty much replacing Magnifico, given he was doing the same thing. Asha promises to be just about it, and that seems to be enough for the people of Rosas, but it's hard not to wonder if Asha will stick to that sentiment. After all, she's only 17. She has a lot of life to live, and the power to grant wishes has the power to corrupt her, just like it did Magnifico. Ariana DeBose is excited to be part of Wish, voicing Asha. She's a longtime Disney fan, so to come to the film that is being put out as part of Disney's 100th is a special honor. When asked what audiences can take away from the film, DeBose told the Nerds of Color, "In this particular film, to watch this young girl of color with braids and freckles, an unlikely leader, step into her power, it doesn't mean that she's not afraid, she is. And it doesn't mean that she doesn't make mistakes, she does. But to see how one person can step up to the plate and say, I'm not really sure how I'm going to get my way through, but I'm going to get through." Chris Pine, like DeBose, was tickled to be part of Wish, voicing Magnifico. He was especially thrilled to be voicing the villain, telling Kim Holcomb, "There's humor to it. The guy's a buffoon. I think I like playing characters that think they're really, really cool and simply aren't when you get underneath the hood. It's always fun to play those guys. Even his hero song, This Is the Thanks I Get, is the most revealing song about his deep insecurities about being loved." Pine also had many complimentary things to say about his co-star and the chemistry they shared. Pine told today's Esquire, "Working with Ariana was an absolute delight. She's not only an incredibly talented performer, but also a wonderful person. Our chemistry on set translated seamlessly onto the screen, and I'm grateful for the experience." Jennifer Lee has been part of some of the greatest animated films of the last 15 years, including Frozen, which she co-directed. She also co-wrote the screenplay for Wish and spoke about Asha to Rotten Tomatoes, saying, "We were talking about Asha and knowing we wanted that moment as a teenager where you're living your life, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, that's not right. And I always say it's a very generous time. Teenagers are the ones who want to make the world better for others."
We give them a bad rep sometimes, that they're selfish, and I'm like, they're the ones who can see a better world.
Peter Del Vecchio, a veteran producer of Disney animated films, has a lot to say about the villain, telling comicbook.com, "Disney villains have evolved over time, and some villains are revealed, but there's something delicious about knowing that someone's the villain from the beginning. What makes this one unique is he's also charming and charismatic, and you actually watch him evolve as more pressure is put on him."